Good evening, everybody. We're here today with Matt from Monro Design Studio and Monro Adventure, his watch brand. And we're going to have a great conversation about how he came to start the watch brand, design influences, and excitingly, and for the first time on one of our calls, the use of Kickstarter to launch a watch brand, which many people have done and many people have tried and failed with, but you've been very successful. But to start with, Matt, please introduce yourself and just start from the beginning. Where did the design studio come from, and how did you get into thinking about producing a watch?
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me. So my name is Matt O'Neill, which is Mon, and my business partner and co-founder Ryan Auld is the RO, and together it forms Monro. So that's the how we came up with our name. And we met in 2010, and Ryan was actually the guy who hired me at Rotary Watches. And we spent 10 years together, and we got on really well. I mean, like, obviously he was my boss, but we traveled the world together and realized that obviously we're really passionate about watches, but we're also really passionate about travel and all things related to that. And working together, and we used to design uh, multiple collections. We'd work on maybe two autumn, winter, and a spring, summer collection every year. And the two of us were able to sort of mold it over the 10 years is a nice amount of time to have an impact somewhere, because everything to do with watches takes quite a long time to make. So we got in a very good had a good methodology of working, and between the two of us, we sort of shaped how we saw in a collection developing. Because originally, working for a brand like Rotary, it's been around for, well, it was established in 1895, so it's been around for a long time. And for us to have 10 years of that, we only scratched the surface really, but we were able to kind of bring what was almost a very well established sort of scattergun approach to product. We brought it into a more coherent family structure, and that gave us the momentum to sort of give us categories to design within. And it was it's a heritage collection anyway, so there's not a huge amount you can do, but we were able to make quite a broad range from it, and we were very proud of it. But like I said, it took a while, and as we got to know one another and we worked together really well and traveled together, we realized actually we really we really enjoyed having a beer together. And we go into Soho, and I mean, if anyone knows what Soho's like, it's a great atmosphere, particularly around about sort of 6 o'clock, the sun's out, you're on the streets and whatever. And it was just a really good buzz, and we were kind of thinking, why? What can we do? Because we're really passionate about design. We should be able to do something ourselves. And we used to sit there and we used to do the sort of cliche design a sketch on a napkin in a pub sort of thing. And we'd look at each other and think, yeah, no, that's been done. That's nothing, impressive. And then we realized that actually, if we brought in our sort of travel passion to go with the watches, we thought actually, right now, and this was in sort of 2020, or probably a bit earlier than that, actually, the sort of the idea of it. Who's doing the ultimate affordable travel watch? And at that moment in time, there wasn't really an offer that was, and when I say affordable, like in a sort of sub £500 category. And so we used that as the sort of brief, and we came up with a design in these pubs, and in departure lounges and things like that. And we were like, do you know what? This is it. But it was with a quartz movement, because the automatic NH34 didn't exist. And through our contacts, we got a heads up that it was coming out. And we said, oh, we have to stop everything. And we started again using the automatic movement, because if we're going to do a watch brand, we wanted to be taken seriously and not another quartz. So we took our time, and it did take a long time before we actually decided that the Monro Adventure was going to go to market. But kind of backtracking a little bit to get to that stage as two people who'd worked all their lives and who are used to, being employed, we took the decision to separate ourselves from that and become a design consultancy. So that's where, so we basically, we co-founded Monro Design Studio Limited. And what we do is I worked with Ryan for 10 years and he worked at Rotary for way longer than that. And between the two of us, we had a huge amount of experience. So we thought, actually, rather than waiting all this time to do our own watch brand, we'll use the experience and offer it to other people who have cash and can switch things on quickly. So we did that and we worked for a few brands and we were able to get up and running as a business. And whilst we were doing that, that's where we were designing and doing the Monro Adventure. And then when we kind of we got to the point where we're thinking, great, we're happy with the product. We've got an unusual product that's still commercial, we believe to be commercial. But how are we going to fund it? And then this is where Kickstarter got involved, or we got involved with them, sorry. And we crowdfunded to get our first collection off the ground, and it went very well. We were really impressed with the support that we had, a few friends and family, and then a few people who heard about us through, like offshoots from there. We'd been in the industry a bit, so a few people knew what we were doing, and then we had a really good success with it, enough for us to get our first collection off the ground and into saleable condition. And that, in terms of stock being available, was 1 week before the British Watchmakers Day, the inaugural, um, in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and
So
that,
did
yeah,
you,
so
so
all of
jump,
our stock arrived 1 week before that event, and I think we actually took the last stand available. So it all
yeah.
worked out rather well for us in terms of, a slice of luck here and there.
Did the, so to take it back a step and designing for a large brand,
Yeah.
like, and as you said, a brand with a heritage and a very clear and consistent market positioning at the, you know, more affordable end of the watch market, more mass market. Um, did you still get to do a lot of different types of watch design within that?
Yeah, a huge
Or
amount
were you
actually,
just
because
talking about changing the indices every so often?
now that was the great thing about when I was explaining about bringing it into a sort of coherent family structure. We'd give ourselves, okay, so this is a heritage watch brand, but this is the slim collection, and then this is us having a dabble with the sportier version, and this is a ladies centric collection here. And we had about six or seven. We had Swiss made dress watches, and it wasn't, I think I often got asked about, oh, would you like to go and design for someone like Rolex? I'd be like, well, that's an incredibly prestigious brand, but their products are sort of so well established that it's
Mm,
refinement and the pursuit of perfection.
yeah,
You know, whereas as a designer, it was great for me because I was able to do so many different styles and variations and reworkings of archive models, and there was a whole spectrum of different types of design, and that was really good. That was always there was always something fresh to do, but also there was that pressure of making it commercial. It was a big brand and they had to sell.
so were there any like really key takeaways about just watch design in principle from that experience? Because 10 years and that many watches, that must have been hundreds and hundreds of watches.
Yeah,
Lots
well,
of,
there were a lot of watches. I think it mainly came down to your target market and the demographic you were selling these watches to, and the proportions of a watch. And it ultimately you've got to establish what your brand or what your watch wants to be. And with Rotary, it appealed to a huge range of people from all ages. It used to be sort of synonymous with an 18th birthday present. So it would appeal to the grandparents who are buying it for them as much as it would for them as well. But yeah, there was lots to do there.
And so coming to the first Monro Adventure watch, which is quite unusual. And
Yes, yeah, it is.
as an owner, bought it because I was quite taken with it. But the most unusual thing is the case and the lugs.
Yes, yeah.
Um, and again, I'm gonna guess that Rotary had nothing like that.
Nothing like that. I think
So,
it's
so
actually,
why did you want to do something so radical?
I think that's why,
That's
because
okay.
we were doing the collections to a point after 10 years, we got the collections into that sort of spinning plates, keeping them going and refreshing them. Monroe Adventure was a sort of reaction to that because it is so different from anything like Rotary. You know, it was
Yeah.
big and it was multifunctional in a way that we thought was a fresh take on where there was a bit of white space in the market for it. And the thing with when we thought about doing a watch brand, we didn't want to be a Me Too brand. There's plenty of those. We wanted to use our experience with design over the decade that we'd had together to create something that was a little bit different, that did kind of have uh, a really good quality sort of appearance and durability and all of the things that you expect from a premium watch. Rotary were very good at offering good value for money, and that was a mantra that I think we've kept for sure. But we tried to pack in as much as we could with the Monroe Adventure, and as a result of that, it was it was a big it's a big watch. You know, it's 44 mil, but because we've designed it with this looped lug system that slopes down and it sits on the wrist, my wife wears one, and she's got quite petite wrists, and then it it kind of actually works very well, no matter what size your wrist is. It's a big watch, but it's very comfortable. And we worked on it for such a long time that we were convinced we had something that was good enough, that was different, but also very wearable.
Yeah.
And then we went to work with the little sort of the refinements to the design that we really like the aperture in the minute hand, so you can always see the hour hand underneath it. Little things like that. And then the idea behind the brand itself was, like I mentioned, about our love of travel. We put this forward motion hint in it. So the bezel grip's got the forward motion design as of the bezel grips, and the bespoke uh, rubber strap.
Yeah. The strap.
Just these little details that tie in together, and try and make something that has got a huge amount of multi-functionality into something that's legible, and a bit of fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great, and I don't have big wrists. I'm fairly slender wrist, and I don't find it big at all. And part of that is the extraordinary comfort of the strap, because
Yeah.
it's an unusual thin, strong rubber strap as opposed to a thick rubber strap we see elsewhere. Um, I could ask questions for hours, because I find so much of this interesting, but this is a talk for everyone, so I'm going to open it up there. So if anyone wants to jump in here, and what we'll do is we'll come back to Kickstarter a bit later.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
so if anyone wants to jump in with questions here, you're more than welcome. You can either put your hand up or just unmute and go for it. Not yet. Okay. Well, my next question then is taking. We'll come back to the launch campaign, but taking the success of the first watch into the second watch, which is more traditional. Now,
Yes.
obviously, it's very distinct watch, but it's a more traditional case shape. It's a more traditional dive watch. So, talk me through the thinking there.
Well, we had a lot of love for the Monroe Adventure, and the support we had was honestly it was mind blowing, considering where we'd come from to try and launch and be successful with our first collection. Genuinely, I can't really communicate how much of a buzz that was. It was awesome, and we realized quite quickly It was a product that was not for everybody at all. It was Marmite, really. And we were fine with that because, like I said before, we didn't want something that was generic. We wanted something that was like, hey guys, this is us. With the ocean adventure, that was us thinking, actually, we're a business. If we want to survive, we do need to appeal to a few more people. So we thought it would be a great idea to put our own slant on what everybody does really in our in the space that we work in into a dive watch.
Yeah, I mean
But
it's the most popular category by
it's the
far.
most popular
So
category, yeah. And we've made a watch that we're really proud of, and it takes a lot of the essence from the Monro Adventure, and it takes it on a level. And we've got a metal bracelet because the first one was just two straps because obviously the loop lug prevented a bracelet from being on it. And we were really happy with our manufacturer because the quality is insane, really, for what we offer the product at for the price. But again, I mean, we let our customers are very supportive of us, and they love to talk about it because it's the little nuances in the design. Like underneath the bezel, there's a little flash of color because we had so much color in our first collection that we wanted to bring it through. And the forward motion design has been refined into a smaller grip for the bezel, but the bezel concaves slightly, so you get this fairly unique sort of reaction with the light. And then it has a double dome sapphire crystal. So yes, it's a diver watch, but it's our own sort of interpretation for the adventure.
what do you mean by double domed sapphire?
So double dome sapphire is it's domed on the top and it's domed underneath as well. So you can get dome sapphire, which is just domed at the top and then it's flat, and that creates a sort of lens effect. So it distorts the dial underneath. So the double dome prevents that from happening.
Right, right. Um, so one of the things that's remarkable about these watches is the quality at the price. You've brought them out at. So can you talk to us a bit about again using your experience at Rotary to then go and put these watches together and design all the different parts? How you find the right partner, what the options might be like, what are the trickiest things to get right that you found. It'd be really interesting to just hear some of that process.
I think our experience has really helped us because, like I said before, everything takes a long time with getting a watch to market. And ultimately, we've done that so many times that we've almost have a process whereby we can eliminate any repetition of errors. And we've honed in on a supplier, manufacturer for this brand that has such good quality. And we manufacture these at quite high volumes as well. So we're able to get a price that we believe is unbeatable value really for what the product represents. And from the like I said from before, the Rotary always having that mantra of it's a value proposition. We've kept that because ultimately the best marketing really is people wearing your watches, and we want to make really good watches and we want lots of people to have them. So we've kept the price as low as we can really for that, for the standard of the product, and hopefully the finishing when you get hands on with it, because I've seen Mark, you were in the bronze. Hopefully you can testify that the details and the finishing kind of bring it together in a pretty decent package.
Definitely. In fact, with the Kickstarter, it was such good value. I bought the two, so I've got the bronze and the stainless steel. So
Fantastic. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Now, honestly, every single person who's supported us through Kickstarter or pre-order, you have no idea how much it means to us because it enables us to get these products to market. It's that initial sort of breaking through that barrier of the initial, like, watches are expensive. So to get that thing, there are only two of us, and we do absolutely everything, really. Apart from actually make the movement. we do as much as we can, and to kind of everybody who supports us, it really makes a big difference. So thank you.
So I've spoken to other brands, and they spend months, trying to get the hands right,
Yeah,
and they have big, QCing dials is a huge deal because a lot of suppliers provide a batch of dials, and unfortunately, in every batch, there's some dodgy dials. Um, you've got quite unusual hands. You've got a lot of
yeah,
colors of dial. So,
yeah.
how have you solved those problems to create these interesting and these watches?
Um, it, it we got lucky, I guess, with our contacts,
Mhm.
but also, they got lucky with us. We have a very good relationship, and we work very well together. And fortunately, so far, they completely um, understand what we want. And if there's ever an issue of achieving what we want, we can compromise on certain elements, um, but it doesn't happen very often. But it's a fluid situation to a degree where you want the very best product, and if you design something that is a little bit outrageous for the manufacturers to achieve QC, then you think, well, actually, it's not worth that risk for something that's inevitably just going to come and bite you in the ass. So you need to get it to a point where you're really happy with it. And if it means compromising on some details, then we'll find a way around it. But ultimately, if everybody's on the same page, it really helps with the process and the final product.
Yeah, so I'm sort of hearing and suspecting that all that experience is what makes a difference here. Like
I
other brands
probably
and
yeah.
especially younger brands might be really saying, "Look, this is the hand. These are the hands I want," and then they spend months really trying to force the issue when actually the design of the hands wasn't necessarily
Yeah,
that
and that
sensitive in the first place.
Ryan is, he's excellent at that. His experience is far greater than mine, and the two of us work really well together to achieve what we need to. So if I'm designing the watch and he's saying, well, actually, no, that that's that's not going to happen. We need to do it take a different approach on it, but we can still get ultimately uh, a unique product
Yeah,
for our brand.
yeah. So yeah, if anyone has a question, just raise your hand, and you can chime in.
I got one
Um,
actually. Just speaking of unique products, I mean the rubber strap. Hello, Matt. By the way,
Hi, Ed,
thanks for joining us. It's really nice to meet you.
and
The
you
rubber
too.
strap's quite unusual. I haven't actually had an opportunity to try one on, but I have been looking, and I haven't seen anything like it before. And just Hamish mentioned earlier on how comfortable it is. So I'm just wondering, is there a particular story about that rubber strap in particular? Because it is, I don't think the word unusual is the right word, but it is
It's slightly
unique.
different. It
Yeah,
is. You don't see very many of them. And when we designed the lug system, we wanted it to be easy change because we had 7 in the collection, all different colors, and we thought the best way to offer the color is through a strap, but not everybody wants to be garish all the time. Sometimes, you want a bit of fun, sometimes you don't. So we had the nylon strap, and then we thought, well, actually, adventure watch, you want to go diving with it, you want to do all sorts, something that's durable. And it was Ryan who came up with the idea, and then we realized actually with rubber you can make it very bespoke quite quickly. So our rubber straps, they're NBR rubber. They're very durable. They're very comfortable. We actually use them across all 3 collections. So our 3rd collection is currently being warehoused at the moment, ready for dispatch. But each of those 3 collections all are interchangeable with those rubber straps. So we've started selling them as a separate item on our site. But on the back of them, that's got our where will time take you? They've got all these bespoke keepers, but it's the forward motion diagonal pattern that kind of gives it a nice texture as well.
yeah. It's really nice attention to detail. Very nice attention to detail. Yeah, they're great. They look great.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's so much. I mean, it's that NATO style, as it were, with the rubber that goes under the case back, as we discussed, because of the lugs partly and partly to emulate that style of adventure strap. But it's so much more comfortable than the rubber straps that are more traditional or go into a deployment because they're thicker. Um, and so
Yeah, that
personally, I
yeah.
don't. I've tried a few of those rubber straps on different watches, and especially with a larger watch, they can then make the larger watch feel even larger and heavier because the rubber's quite thick. So I think it's a great solution.
Yeah, that is one of the things with the Monro Adventure because it houses so the movement and the World City Ring and the diver's bezel. It's quite a thick watch, so the rubber strap needed to be as thin as possible. Otherwise, it would have been a monstrosity really off your wrist. You'd knock people out wearing it. So so yeah, but it's super comfortable and it prevents the watch from moving around your wrist.
Yeah.
It's nice. It sits so comfortably.
So Kickstarter is a famous platform in the watch industry, famous for its successes and its failures. And I think almost every enthusiast has thought to themselves at one point or another, I could start a small brand and Kickstarter it and see if people that's what I need to do. But whenever anyone looks into it, they realize there's a staggering amount of things to do to get a Kickstarter campaign to go well. And one of those, the main thing is, of course, just the marketing of it and thinking about how you're going to set it up and advertise it and sell the product. So you said, you've been a designer all your life. You've not been a marketer. So,
Correct.
and you've done it all yourselves, So talk us through how you went about that, especially for the first campaign, which, as you said, was much more successful than you expected. So you must have done something more right than you thought you were doing. Um,
Yeah.
so,
I,
uh, and it's great, So talk us through sort of what you did and what you were thinking and trying, and then why you think it worked.
well, Kickstarter was definitely a learning curve. Um, we were able to use Kickstarter almost like an area for us just to throw out all of the things that we'd gone through to get the product to that position, because it felt like a bit of project work, almost at school or something. It was like, how did you get from A to B and make it as interesting as possible? And because we design everything in house, it's just we sit here and we go do absolutely everything with the material that we create. We had so much stuff we could share, and we spent I don't know, it's we spent many many days back to back putting this together. And I think you're absolutely right. It then comes down to marketing, because it doesn't matter what you've got on your project page if no one's going to look at it, no one's going to see it, no one's going to understand it. So we did well because we started generating a newsletter from our website to start gaining interest, and we shared it with as many friends and family as we could, and they knew the sort of how big a deal it was for us, and we had so much support from them. And then it sort of rippled out. And I think with Kickstarter, you hear various different things that as soon as you hit your target amount, an algorithm kicks in and Kickstarter starts to communicate with its incredible reach around the planet, you know, which is, I still don't know if that's true or not, but it was something that we sort of thought, okay, well, hopefully that will work. Um, Kickstarter requires feeding, basically, and I imagine the more the more projects that go, because there are so many projects on there that want to get off the ground. There's so many people who are passionate and they need their project funded by kind people, that unfortunately not everybody can succeed. But the ones that do, you need something that's got a hook to it. You need something that's been pushed around in social media. You need a loyal following. These are the sort of things that you hear and you think, okay, well, but I'm sure I could do it. We just took a running jump and just said, right, let's do it. We've got so much content here. We've got so many people who want us to do well, and they're going to help share it with us. And we went into it a little bit blind, if I'm honest with you. And then when we got funded, straight away. We were sat in Cafe Bohème in Soho, and we were exhausted, absolutely ruined with the stress of getting it to that point. And we hit our target in about 5 minutes or something, and it was wow. But excuse me, it was a great feeling, but also a feeling of okay, that's been funded, so we now need to deliver on it. But like you just touched on, my I've been designing watches for like 15 years. Everything that then goes on around it is incredible because logistics and the marketing and the sales and making sure customers are happy and they've got everything. It's a beast. So from our first product launch, we learned so much. Shipping and something that we knew about when we were working at Rotary. There were, there was a staff of like 50 people, all
Mm.
taking the strain. So we took it all on, and we probably aged a little bit, to be honest with you, during the process, but we got through it, and we got through it because of the support we got was just insane. And then we thought it'd be a really good idea to do it again.
So how many was
So,
the first campaign then?
sorry,
How many did you have to deliver after the first campaign finished?
I think about 300,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, that was it was it was horrific because our stress levels were through the roof because our shipping agent decided to swap our two best selling watches over and ship them across the world. So after our successful launch, we then got an email saying, "Hey guys, love the watch, but actually, I ordered the white one and I've got the orange one." And we were like, "Oh, that's a shame. Oh, listen, we'll sort you out, no problem whatsoever." And then ting ting got another email, and then the emails started coming in, and we were thinking, "Oh my God." Um, but what ultimately happened with that is that because of the people that we are, we were just bending over backwards to make sure that we'd sort it out, and ultimately, I think it actually helped us endear our customers to
Or,
us.
or just do what Mark did and just buy two of them,
Oh,
right?
but too, yeah, yeah,
Just to be safe.
yeah.
Totally. And there's a story there because even though I bought two, you may not remember this, but I had two specific numbered editions. And the first set you sent me were the wrong numbers.
Oh,
So I had to return, if you remember, I had to return them
oh.
and then you sent me a new set.
You see, that those are the things we think, right, we want everybody to be happy. And ultimately, I think hopefully they are. But it was just, yeah, it's very, very stressful to try and you make every watch that we design, and it has been since day one, feels like a baby. You spend so much time and passion and hard work, and you get a finished article in your hand, and it's such a brilliant experience. I mean, I don't know if I can. That's a 3D prototype,
Mm.
and that's come from 3D software that I've been developing, refining, and then all of a sudden it's like it turns into a real watch. And you think that whole process is, I still find that incredibly exciting. So from that, for then it to become not in your control for a shipping agent or whoever, you're then desperate for people to feel that they've got the right level of service, the right
Was
product.
was that a sneak peek at something secret there, Matt, by any chance, was it?
This is what we're launching this next week or so. As in this is what is our third collection. This is the
Zoom
urban.
doesn't want you
Doesn't
to
like it.
show it.
Yeah, these should be in stock in a week or so. Um, that was our third campaign.
Yeah.
So
Mecha
yeah,
quartz, right?
that's right, Mecha Quartz. Yeah, so we've done an automatic. I've got two watches on my desk. There's that Mecha Quartz, and then there's this automatic, which is the Fume dial. We've done lots of different colorways, and we've then got a skeleton version of that as well. So we've got three different variations of it in the collection, and then yeah, we're just about to receive prototypes for our fourth collection that we're really excited about.
So there's a question on the chat, which I've asked you before as well. And the question is your pricing strategy. So how did you approach the pricing strategy so that customers see the value in the product itself, rather than perhaps comparing it directly against other larger brands, at similar price points. Because especially, the Japanese mega brands could be seen to be your competitors. So, can you talk about how you thought about pricing and what you think about it?
Yeah, I think we priced it as competitively as we think represents the value of the product. Like I think, like I explained, I think what we've done is we've created a completely a design from the ground up. So everything has been designed. Each component is designed on this very laptop, and everything comes up from there. We then make sure the quality is grade A and the finishing is excellent. And I think the entire package represents something that is is good value. I think yes, there are other watches available at the similar price that are from larger brands. And then same with every single watch owner. It's a very subjective matter, really, isn't it, in terms of what appeals to you. So we hope that we've provided enough detail that provides enjoyment for a watch to be worn again and again. There is so that we think there are lots of details that would enhance, the normal daily wears.
Yeah.
I hope that
Um,
answers the question. It's a difficult one to answer when it comes to pricing, but I think ultimately, I just think we've given a hell of a lot of value.
I would have to agree. I was pretty shocked, to be fair. I'm trying to remember um, the time because I think I first saw you at it was a watch show in Birmingham, I think. And
That Watch It.
yes, watch it. Yes, I saw it there, tried it on, stood there for ages, and I couldn't make up my mind. And at the time, I didn't know that there was a Kickstarter campaign. I don't know how I missed it. I just didn't know. And then I watched a YouTube video because this is a question I wanted to ask with top tier ticker, um,
may or may
and
not
he
be
raved
here.
about it, and I thought I've missed the trick here. I've missed out because I thought I'd missed the Kickstarter campaign. Anyway, I hadn't.
He's a
Um,
good guy.
he, he's a very good guy, and he raved about it. I thought, anyway, so yeah, and I don't know how long was left because I know I must have ordered quite early to get my numbers. So
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was I ordered before the video or after the video, but that's really what's I'm pretty sure that's what really swung it. Um, and I couldn't believe that you were offering two watches for whatever it was, 500 quid. I was like, these guys are mad. I felt like I was stealing from
Don't,
you.
don't get me wrong. There are days when we think that as well. It's hard work, but we've got this plan. Excuse me. We've got a plan where we've got a collection idea of, we want to get to 5 collections and revisit and push them on. That's in a nutshell. I've just seen a message about will we see the Lunar collection at Manchester? The Manchester show is in November, Hamish.
That's right. Yeah, Saturday, the 8th of November. Yeah.
You'll definitely see the Lunar at Manchester.
Right.
Yeah, we're
Exciting.
Got
it's
to, I can't make it.
it's really we're really excited about it. We're excited about every product, like I said. Each one's like a baby, but obviously you want to push forward and you want to make the next product better than the last. So hopefully, when you see it, you might agree.
So what's interesting about pricing is most watch companies end up moving upwards, and it's a
Yes.
natural phenomenon because um, they have ambitions about increasing complexity or increasing quality or increasing um, just the overall package that they're offering to their customer. So, how do you think about that? Is that sort of part of your, success breeds the opportunity to do things that will naturally just come at a higher price point?
Yeah, I think we'll as a strategy for collections, we'll have a hierarchy. So
Mhm.
we will go a bit higher and we will go a bit lower.
Right. Okay.
because I think it's important to offer it. We will always offer excellent value though. I think that's the sort of paramount. So even if we do go higher, it will be justified.
Yeah.
But it won't be like astronomical.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, they do. I do think we'll with the five collection idea. I think there will be a nice structure that will provide options for different customers.
And
Can I
you
ask?
talked. Oh,
Sorry,
sorry. Go on.
it was just a quick question. Obviously, British brand. Um, I suspect lots of British buyers, but what about the US and how are you affected by the tariffs?
Yeah, it's been a catastrophe really for many many brands. um, I think unfortunately we've sort of taken the point of view that it's regional, and the excuse me, the US region unfortunately has been, you know, given this tariff, and unfortunately that region has to pay for it if they want the product. That's the region that has it. It's unfair, I think, massively unfair. But unfortunately, that it is what it is. And I think because our products aren't wildly expensive, we hope that it's not too much of an effect. But time will tell, and things keep seeming to change, quite regularly. So we're doing what we can, but it's we've taken a hit on it because um, it's not as straightforward as it used to be. I think the great thing, going back to the original Monro Adventure and subsequent collections from that, we've been really amazed by where our watches are being worn.
Mm.
So we we sell a lot to the UK, and then we'll sell in Sweden, and then Mexico, and then Australia, and then Doha, and then it's great. It's really like exciting to see these. I'm actually trying to get a
Yeah.
map, like one of those, like all of that, like a location pin drop, which is where our logo's from, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Um, and I guess the sort of final question for me, and then we can see if anyone else has any other questions as well to wrap up is, what's been the most surprising thing about the whole journey so far? So as you said, you felt it was like a huge risk and you've had to learn everything.
Yeah,
And, anyone starting a business is in the same boat. But, you've also said you're very pleased with the success. You're really pushing on the new watches. So you're obviously doing well enough to keep going. And my view of the reaction to your brand and your watches is that it is a big success within a very competitive market segment. So
thank you.
what's been most surprising? So the success has been surprising, sure, but what other sort of maybe big or small details have been most surprising about it all?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, we've been really surprised by our customers. Like, people have really interacted with us, and I think maybe probably from our previous life, we didn't necessarily get that.
Mm.
And that has been something that we weren't necessarily thinking that would happen, but we've genuinely been pretty blown away by that. I think that's probably been the biggest surprise. I think we always knew that we could design watches and get them made to the quality that we wanted them to be made at. I think that was never in doubt. I think as a sort of a young brand and a small business, trying to get our dream scenario is just, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of perseverance. But we're getting there slowly, and that's through the support of our customers, really. Because what we have in terms of being surprised by, we have seen so many repeat customers, and that's been really humbling, really.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, as someone who's dedicating my life currently to helping watch enthusiasts see
Yeah,
more watches, um, I I have found the same. The the number of people who love to talk about watches, explore watches, try new watches, consider new watches, even if they don't make the purchase. That's what led us to do shows. If you'd said to me 3 years ago you'd be putting on big watch shows, and
Yeah.
two this year and three next year, hopefully, I would just have never believed it. And here we are, and I'm delighted that you can take part.
We're honestly we're very happy to be part of it. It feels like a bit of a club. It's great. It's really good to be part of it.
Yeah, no, thank you. And yeah, the reaction and the energy. It's the energy that people bring. So as you said, like whether you've got your collectors now who are building this relationship with you as a brand and you as a designer, and as you said, choosing to represent you by wearing it regularly and enjoying wearing it regularly. Um, I'm building our community, the Watch Collectors Club, and that gives me huge pride and enthusiasm and enjoyment from the club's activities. And then the shows are slightly separate because it's a big 1 day thing, but the energy on the day of the show is so fun. That's why I always say to all the other people who organize shows when I meet them, because I know many of them, is like every time someone goes to a watch show for the first time, they're probably going to go to another one. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like they are that fun as a thing to do, regardless of whether you make a purchase on the day or afterwards. Um,
It's fun.
so I do want to make sure people have had their chance to ask questions. So yeah, has anyone got anything else?
Matt, I just wanted to ask actually.
Hi,
Um,
Tim.
hello, I've got an adventure, an ocean adventure. It was the ocean adventure I bought first, and one of the
Fantastic. Thank
things
you.
I do appreciate the hand design. By the way, I noticed that porthole thing as well, and appreciated the idea
It's
behind it.
satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also noticed though that it was a no date, which among a dive watch is the less often seen sort of mode. What was there a reason? Did you actually pick that specifically to do a no date?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think that was coming from the Monro Adventure, having so much going on with it that I wanted it to be clean and symmetrical. And um, I have had a no date Submariner, and I think looking back at it, I think personally, because I know it's quite contentious whether people like date or no date, but I really like the cleanliness and the symmetry of no date. And because we were so multifunctional for the first collection, we said, okay, let's stick with it. And I remember giving the prototypes to a few famous YouTubers, and they said, guys, whatever you do, do not use that movement because it's got a ghost date. It was the NH35,
Yeah,
so if we had to reshuffle it a little bit, but we used the NH38 so that it was a proper three hand.
yeah, I
Um,
particularly appreciated that actually. That
that's
stood
really
out
good.
for me.
That is
Yeah,
really good
yeah.
to know, actually. Thank
Not
you.
everybody bothers with that, but I noted that you did, and it was a differentiating factor.
And I think that is really good to know because I think coming down from that commercial B2B element with Rotary and going to the likes of like, but we used to go to Basel World and Switzerland a lot, and we used to sell collections to buyers. Now we're selling watches to customers, and the watch community is so knowledgeable now, thanks to the internet and such watch collectors clubs that are now, becoming more prevalent. That I think people expect certain things, and actually listening to people who love watches, like you guys, we need to listen, because if we're not listening to you guys, then it's not really worthwhile. So we did listen to the movement thing, and we're glad we changed it because it was we could have just glazed over it, but we thought no, we had to rejig a few things, but we're glad we did.
Yeah, I'm glad you
And
did because it would have been a deal breaker for me. The ghost date, I
Oh,
hate
good.
ghost dates. Hate
That's
ghost
very good to
dates.
know.
So yeah,
And obviously very specific sequential numbered editions. I'm looking at you here, Mark. We need to have a chat about that. Making it
Anytime,
hard
buddy,
for the poor
anytime.
guy.
Matt, are you doing some more runs of the first two collections?
We'll have to see, Tim, because
Hmm.
we we want to get our collections out there with the new designs so that we can have that sort of hierarchy and that sort of collection range. When Luna is released, we get a gauge of hopefully how big it's going to be. Um, we'll make a decision because at the moment we've started redesigning it, so we don't know whether or not yet we need to top it up because that we were limited those, and actually hands up, we limited those to 500 units of each because of our background with Rotary. But we've got a lot of leeway to bring in more stock. So we could do it. We just need to find out. We need to judge it and plan based on the next launch.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds like a fun problem to have over the next year or so.
Yeah, hopefully.
And is Luna going to be on Kickstarter as well at some point?
We think so. We think we've established almost like a presence on Kickstarter. We've kind of smashed 3 out of the park. So
Mhm.
it would be silly really not to go back into Kickstarter. The problems with Kickstarter associated with it is the length of time it takes.
Yeah.
So that's something we're looking at to see if actually if we do Kickstarter, maybe we could actually go to production irrelevant of Kickstarter. We're working a few things out because we know you guys want the watches.
I'm also actually, I'm often surprised that, brands that have been established and commercial for a long, long time still choose
Yeah,
to use Kickstarter.
they do. Yima, they smashed it not so long ago, and you're right, they do. And I think I guess it enables them almost a bit of market research as well because you suddenly get an uptake in this design, and they're like, wow, okay, this is a goer. And I guess if it doesn't, they can just kind of push it away and without many people knowing about it. I don't know. Could be wrong, but that's what I suspect.
I I think it's a distribution channel. So like the community is very strong because Kickstarter is now quite old and the watch part of Kickstarter is now quite well established.
Mm,
And I think there's an enormous sort of base of enthusiasts who bought on there. And because that number's so large, it doesn't take many people to just have a quick look at what the projects are on
exactly.
an idle Sunday evening. And, if you've got a good project, which you obviously have done, then they trust the process, and especially when you've got previous delivery proof. Because
Yes,
famously, the biggest problem with Kickstarter is the projects that
I
don't
think you're
deliver
right.
and disappear.
You
So
are right about that, about having a bit of stability behind the brand. People, you're reassured by the fact that you've done it before. Because there are swathes of raunchy comic mags and basic watches on Kickstarter, and they claim that their funding target is about $20 or something. But anyway, that
um,
is not us.
no, no. Well, I look forward to seeing the new watch, and the previous watches again in a couple of months' time. But thank you very
Yeah,
much.
looking forward to the Manchester show. Yeah, last year was fantastic, and we will definitely have the Luna with us as well. So if any of you are going, it would be great to say hello.
Yeah, no, it'll be very
Sorry, can I
exciting.
just do one question before we finish? So this is more of a personal question, Matt.
Of course, yeah.
Sorry, I'm Matt myself. I'm not Shell. My name's showing up as Shell. Wife.
No worries, Shell.
um, but from being a creative person, obviously designing the watches,
Yeah.
how do you manage to turn that off to then go into marketing? And the follow up to that is, what is the marketing strategy going forward?
I think it's necessity more than anything because we're so passionate about getting our product to market that we were always involved with elements of marketing in our previous jobs, and we do work with a marketing guy to help us because it's not our forte. So we have hired help with our marketing, but the content itself is normally created by us, and it's a constant learning curve. To be honest, we use Meta a lot, and it's all about fresh content and stuff. But at the end of the day, we there's only so much time in a day, and we can't keep creating it. And so as we get bigger, well, hopefully as we get bigger, as we grow, we'll be able to grow our marketing side of things. But we're doing okay at the moment for a small brand. I think we're starting to get a bit of traction, which is really pleasing.
Right, okay. Thank you very much.
Sounds like everyone on this call's got more than one watch except me. I think I'm the only one, by the sounds of it, that doesn't have one.
Give me a shout.
Well, yeah, well, looking forward to seeing what the Luna has in store. Sounds right up
Thank you.
my street.
Thank you.
Best of
Well,
luck.
we'll be able to share some news soon.
Great. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's great questions as always, and thank you very much, Matt, for your time.
You're
It's
very
really
welcome.
interesting, and I've enjoyed following your journey the last few years, and I'm sure
Thanks,
there'll be a
Hamish.
lot of great stuff to come. So we shall finish there. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys. Thanks,
Thank
Matt.
you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.